Al, I told you, man. Yes, sir. FightJournal.com, baby. We here.
TheFightJournal.com has landed in Vegas for Gennady Golovkin versus Saul Alvarez 2 Saturday night. All right. Most of us just witnessed the unification fight between Vasiliy Lomachenko and Teofimo Lopez. All right. The kid brought it home. Now, I just want everybody to make sure you watch this video to the end, because at the end, I bumped into Teofimo Lopez when I was in Las Vegas for the Gennady Golovkin, the Triple G versus Saul Alvarez part 2. And I talked briefly. He wanted to talk more, but I talked briefly to Teofimo, and I asked him to dance. I told him, hey, man, give me one of them celebration dances. And guess what? He danced for me. So check that out. That was fun. Check that out at the end. And so tonight we are celebrating the 23-year-old who is on top of the world right now. All right. So let's talk about it. I promise I won't be long, as I usually am. I had this fight scored, and this hurts me to say it. I had this fight scored exactly like Andre Ward. And I don't like saying that because Ward irks me, okay? Good dude, I'm sure, but he just rubs me the wrong way. But that's just me. I don't know if people go to websites online or that do live scoring, but like Ward, Lopez needed the last round on my card. I'm going to leave, if I don't do it immediately, I will, but I'm going to leave my scorecard below this video. You can select the link, okay? Click on that link, and it'll take you to my scorecard on the website. The way I scored it is I had Teofimo winning the first. Then as people are sending me their scores and texting me, they actually thought Lopez won the second round. And listen, outside of Julie Letterman, maybe a couple of other judges, no way did he win the second round. I mean, Vasiliy won the second. Teo won the third, the fourth, the fifth, and sixth on my card. Loma won the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th before giving the 12th away to Teo. All right? But it didn't matter what Andre Ward, my boy Douglas Powell out there, thank you for watching the fight, sir, staying up. My man Charles Jackson, or I thought. It doesn't matter what any of us four thought, because the atrocious scoring that continues, especially with these bubble fights, is just, it's head scratching. 119, 109, I mean, you are the late Harold Letterman's daughter, so maybe you get a pass, because his scorecards were terrible quite often. 17-11, 16-12, come on, man. What that tells me is that Top Rank is ready to move on with a moneymaker, which Lomachenko is not. He's just a boxer, okay? But the name of the game is dollars, especially these days, especially in bad economic times. I'll put it that way. Teofimo threw many more punches than Lomachenko, but landed only about 30-something more. The connect percentage for Lomachenko was like 44% after a dreadful start, which is very high in a high-level competitive fight like this. Remember, he was at, 13% early on, and to get it up to 44 speaks to how the fight progressed and how it trended. And that's what's called effective aggressiveness, just not aggressiveness. And I thought he controlled the second half of the fight, minus the 12th round. That's how he got that percentage up with his accuracy. That's how he got the hits that he landed, the punches, closer to within 30. Yet he threw about half as many punches as the kid did. So, if you go back to my prior video, I said my primary concern outside of age was the time off. Yes, while it allowed his injuries to heal, that much time off is no good for an older guy, especially a guy who was number 1 or number 2 in the world. Both should have taken a tune-up, but I guess money talks. Speaking of money, when the smoke clears, Loma will get close to $4 million and Teo $2 million. Folks, that's great money for no pay-per-view and no live gate, no concessions, and the whole nine. All right. For Teofimo, even though he faded late, he did what he was supposed to do in this fight, especially early on, okay? He banked rounds, and this time Loma allowed him to bank too many. I thought a third of Teo's borderline shots were actually below the border. If you watch this fight again, the other body shots were good, and they were effective, and the old man felt them. I'm sure he'll urinate blood, or has, because they kind of like test you right away. So he's gonna have blood in his urine. But a lot of those shots strayed low, and this was part of my prediction. I'll get into that in a second. Hats off to Timothy Bradley Jr. In the prior video, I talked about how he said the timing of this fight was perfect for Lopez. And I felt he might be right. And I think the lack of fans and a venue away from New York City and the delay all played to Lopez. And guess what? Teofimo agreed in his post-fight interview. I'm so happy. He said, I knew the layoff was going to cause Lomachenko to get started too late, and he was spot on. And that goes as a check mark to the Teofimo camp. They did what that was part of their strategy, okay? I'll put it that way. I thought Teofimo mixed his shots when he was in there, early especially. And as I stated, his best chance wasn't to charge, and he didn't, but to hold his ground and look for counters. And he did just that. Because I'm telling you, he's a top 5 counter puncher. I don't know what else to say. I thought Lomachenko should have pressed later in the fight because he had the kid ready to go a couple of times. He had him. And he got his combinations off, and then he kind of start doing the bob and weave thing. And I'm like, nah, man, you got to go for it. But, I mean, the kid survived and he fought back a little bit. Now, the forearm push was allowed by Russell Mora. No surprise there. Mora is what you call a dirty referee. And I also thought Mora broke numerous times. He called for the break numerous times when no break was necessary. Usually when Loma had what could be perceived as an advantage or was on even ground. And he kept breaking when Lopez held. The rule is if you got one hand free, use that one hand and you keep punching. There were tie-ups that weren't full tie-ups where there was one hand free. Now, other times, Lopez would tie, especially when he got tired late in the fight, he would tie up both arms. Lomachenko once or twice, I think, tied Lopez up. Okay, now you say break. But when there's one hand free, and Mora knows this, because if you look at how he handles other fights, it wasn't the same way he handled this fight. So Loma kept punching and it break. Don't punch on the break. I mean, don't punch when I say break. Well, you shouldn't be saying break. And that's the key. I stress that because 5 or 6 times it happened. Vasiliy was dogging Teofimo. He didn't have an answer. He didn't understand. He would keep throwing, bop, 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 and then Teofimo, not knowing how to defend against that, would actually turn his body and kind of almost like get in a protective shell to try to look for help. And I'm like, no. That hand is free. He didn't have an answer for it. And that's part of the reason he got tired. The kid got tired. And Russell wouldn't let it continue, and he bailed him out each time that happened. But that, as a matter of fact, the first time he did it helped turn the fight. I think it was in the 6th or the 7th or one of those rounds where I'm like, he found something. Now, I've seen fighters get old and not be able to pull the trigger. And I thought I was seeing that with Loma early on. But I'm not so sure now. I mean, it happened to Roy Jones Jr., Ray Leonard, Muhammad Ali, and all the greats. They just get to that point where it's like right there and they just can't quite pull the trigger. And I'm sitting there like, I would say 5 of the first 6 rounds, like, yo, what is this dude doing? Or, like, I figured he would get started, but not. I'm like sitting there like, what are you doing, dude? So I was like, okay, I'm not sure if it's age and reflexes or if it's truly the time off. We'll see. Will it be at 135 in a rematch, or will it be at a lower weight? But in the first half, I thought, and I'm texting my man Charles like, yeah, he's done. Like, tonight's not his night. And we were debating, was it because he can't pull the trigger, because he's hit that reflex point? And I'm like, I don't know. But then when he came on late, I'm like, well, maybe he just pulled the trigger too late, and it was actually the time off. But I'm still going to say I don't know. So we'll find out in his next fight. Like I said, like I asked, will it be at 135? Will it be at a lower weight? For Lopez, he has many choices. I don't think he fights more than twice at 135. These guys just are too big. And I think he'll be a solid one guy at 140. But I just don't think he does more than 2 at 135. And he confirmed that by calling out Josh Taylor if Devin Haney doesn't step to him. So if there's no rematch, then yeah, the Haney fight makes sense. And guess what, folks? Haney won't be around too much longer at 135 either. He's huge at the weight too. And this fight, it heated up late, but it had the wrong kind of ebb and flow. You understand? Like the way I thought it would go was for Teo to win maybe the first 2 or 3 rounds, Vasiliy to win a couple, and then the battle would be on. And that's not how it went. And maybe the time off caused it to go both ways. I mean to go that way for both guys, notwithstanding the official scores. The kid got off fast. The old man finished strong. And then it came down to the final round, which the kid took. So, and that's what I saw, and that's why my scorecard agreed with you-know-who. So, not the best or the worst fight I've ever seen, but I know for a fact that plenty of crossover fans watched. Hey, at least it didn't cost them anything, especially if they viewed the fight as if it was like a Mayweather-Pacquiao sparring match. I think it was more than that, but maybe not the fireworks many expected, but it was a decent scrap. I just think if both guys would have taken a tune-up. Well, anyway, hold on. Before I say that, it's funny. Both guys have choices to make, and each choice could be at a different weight class, with Lopez going 1 up and Loma going 1 down. That's interesting, because it's like neither dude belonged. It's almost like this was a catchweight fight. Neither dude belongs at the weight, to be honest. Lopez should be 1 weight class up. Loma should be 1 down. With Loma possibly really being right 2 weight classes down. And Lopez, well, he was a welterweight. No, he was a junior middleweight or super welterweight tonight. He's about 150, I think. If a rematch doesn't happen, then Lopez has Haney at 135. There's also Gervonta Davis and Ryan Garcia at the weight also. He has the Jose Carlos Ramirez versus Josh Taylor winner at 140. Until then, if he wants an intro into that weight class, he's got Jose Zepeda, Regis Prograis if he wins his next fight, or Arnold Barboza Jr., who was on the undercard tonight. But I can't really say he's introduced to the class because, man, it was a damn welterweight tonight. So it'll be interesting to see where he goes. Now, Lopez, he kept it in check mentally better than I thought he would. Okay? Even though the few times he got pressed late, he started to swing low. Okay? Keep an eye on that in the future because it's hard to shake a bad habit like that. I get in trouble, let me go ahead and go low. Russell Moore pretended not to see those low blows, but they were there. They're notwithstanding those body shots that he did land that were legal. They were tough early on. The headbutts. The headbutts were caused by the lefty versus righty. The hardest headbutt was actually caused by Lopez, if you watch the replay. Lomachenko caused the other one. The rest were accidental, including the one that opened the cut. All right? The one thing lost in all of this is that the old man is fighting guys who are huge. He couldn't get what he wanted at 126. He couldn't get it at 130. So he went to 135 and he almost almost got to the mountaintop. Now, if you go back to my old videos, I predicted he'd lose in the next 3 fights, but I thought it would be Haney. This was prior to knowing the changing the order of things and knowing this pandemic and all this stuff was going to happen. But if you go back a year ago or so to my videos, the thing those same people missed, not just that he had to go from 26 to 30 to 35. The thing those same people miss is that while Gary Russell Jr. and all these other guys talk about moving up a couple of weight classes for greatness, this guy did it. And hats off to Teofimo because he took the fight when people thought it was too soon. Now, I think he gets his butt kicked had this happened in March with the crowd and in New York City. All right? Without all that time off. I think if they would have had a tune-up, he would have got his butt kicked. But the time off probably affected him too. And what I mean by that is, I just think if both guys took a tune-up and then fought each other, this fight would have been much more explosive and went to an even higher level. That's just opinion, of course. Nonetheless, it's the card we were dealt. No fans, pandemic, time off, the whole nine. No excuses for either guy, just speaking facts. Okay? Just be happy that boxing is back. And in this instance, the best fights the best. And the best man tonight was Teofimo Lopez. You know, no ducking and dodging. 2 champions declining a tune-up fight to fight each other for undisputed glory. You got to take your hats off to both guys. Maybe other boxers out there will learn from this. More than likely they won't. But maybe a few will. And we'll get... Because this is a rarity in boxing. People are talking about other sides of the street and well, I'm with this promoter and you need to sign with this promoter and we'll fight. This, just bullshit. And so, but anyway, once I stated earlier, lastly, this is a clip from a talk I had with Teofimo a couple of years ago, okay? He gave me a dance at the end, so make sure you check it out, and we'll catch you on the next one.
What we doing?
FightJournal.com. We're here with 2016 Olympian Teofimo Lopez. Sir, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, man. What's up?
Now, gotta talk about your performance, your last performance. The internet is buzzing, talking about how you stole the show. Grade your performance. Tell us what you thought about it.
My performance overall, I'm my worst critic, so I say like a B minus. A B minus. You know, if I really wanted to, yeah, like a B. A B. I broke my hand in the first round, but things like that, it showed my adversity. It showed that I could go through anything, and I know what I could do. I know what I'm capable of. And that night, nobody didn't know that I broke my hand, you know. But I did what I did. I fought 5 more rounds like that, and I stopped them in the beginning of the 6th round, the opening of the 6th round.
A veteran of 26 fights, man.
Absolutely, 25-1. He's never been stopped. He's never been dropped. And he's been pro for 12 years. He fought Felix Verdejo with the distance with him. Some even thought that he beat Felix Verdejo. So for me to wipe this dude out the way it is, it's not a hype, ladies and gentlemen. It's the truth. It's real.
All right, let's talk about the hand.
Yeah.
How's it doing?
I'm ahead of schedule, man. Ahead of schedule. So it's to the point now that Top Rank is confident, and they're putting me back on December 8th. December 8th, back in Madison Square Garden in New York. 718, stand up. And I'm excited, man. Back in the Mecca of the boxing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now,
well, let's say after December 8th, we got 2019 coming up. We have, I believe Mikey Garcia is going up, moving up to 147. So those 2 belts at 135, the WBC belt and the IBF belt, they're going to be vacant. And I believe that's the next move that Top Rank wants to do for me.
Oh, wow.
And with only 10 fights, it's just the way I perform, the way I'm doing things. December 8th is another step for me to get closer to the world title that I believe I'm going to become. 21, like I said, I just turned 21. I have till July 30th to make that happen.
Okay.
So, and I'm guarantee you, everything I say comes true. I talk the talk, but I walk the walk.
Okay, true that.
Yeah.
Now, let's see if we can get a prediction out of you.
Yeah.
Triple G Canelo.
Okay, many people are not gonna like what I say. Some Triple G fans are probably. Sorry, excuse me. Triple G, I have Triple G beating Canelo, stopping Canelo in between the 7th to the 9th round. Now, if the fight goes the distance, Canelo wins 100%.
Okay.
This fight is not going to draw again. This fight is definitely somebody's winning. And another thing, one thing for sure, for a fact, that this fight is going to be better than the first one. So, for anybody that hasn't got tickets, go out there and watch it on pay-per-view because it's going to be a good one.
Okay, now we got a lot of fans behind you who want to take pictures and talk to you. So we're going to call this part 1 of the interview.
Part 1?
We're going to catch up to you December 8th in New York. We'll be there.
Yes.
No question. Don't look like we have enough room for you to give us a celebration like you did in your last fight, man. But I'll take it. All right.
I got all the celebrations, man.
Cool that.
You can't stop me, man. It's the takeover, like I said. Teofimo Lopez, don't forget it. 10-0, 8 knockouts. We coming to take over.
All right.
Mark my words.
Social media.
Let's get it. Follow me on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, and Facebook at Teofimo Lopez. Thank you, everybody. And love me or hate me, I know you're still gonna watch me.
Get ready for the takeover, folks. Thank you. Cheers. Check it out. We got a Canelo lookalike with a Triple G hat on. Check him out. There it is, baby. Canelo. Good shit, man. All right, baby. Pacquiao Broner.
How you doing, Mr. Chappelle?
Pacquiao Broner.
I won't call it on camera. You put it in, I tell you.